When I was growing up, one of my favorite subjects was history. This is likely because I played a whole lot of Civilization 3 growing up, but it's stuck with me ever since. Which leads us to Horrible Histories. Starting off as a UK book series, it humorously looked at history with a lens of dark humor. Honestly, if I grew up with this, I would have loved it, but I'm from the United States. The series was popular enough to get a whole TV series and even video games! Yep, today we're going to be looking at Horrible Histories, Ruthless Romance for the Wii. Released on March 14th, 2010 in North America and developed by Virtual Identity SRL and published by Slurring Software, this was one that I absolutely had to check out. It is worth mentioning that there is a PC port which is the same as the Wii version, and there is a DS port which I may review at a later date. We start the game up and we have a few different modes. Today, I'll be playing through the story mode in full. The story starts with a storybook narration as the game takes place during the rule of Commodus, giving us an idea on when the game actually takes place. We're then told about Lucius, the leader of Rome's 5th Legion, and how he was summoned to deal with the uprising in Dacia, which once again actually gives us a year. Lucius loses his horse, and then he goes to hide in a tent and meets the character we play as, Rasmus, which is apparently very close to the German word for racism. As far as I can tell, neither Lucius or Rasmus seem to be references to anyone historical, but please, correct me if I'm wrong. So after Lucius's tent hiding incident, Lucius takes Rasmus in as a slave, calling him his lucky lad. We then fast forward a couple of years where Rasmus is adult as he's now in gladiator school, determined to fight for his freedom. We get to the game world and, oh my gosh! A full 3D walkable environment? And it looks good? When I first saw this, I was blown away. I was not expecting this at all. This was enough to convince myself for a moment that this game was going to be amazing. I mean, just think for a second. This could have quickly turned into a Roman-themed Zelda, or an epic, historically grounded action-adventure comedy set in Rome. Seeing this made me imagine so many possibilities. But the cracks started to show rather quickly. Running around, I realized I couldn't talk to any of these NPCs that are around, despite this place being fairly populated. And yeah, I know, the icon at the top makes Rasmus look like a discount Family Guy character, but anyways, let's not worry about that and talk to Lucius. For some reason, they decided to have all their characters talking gibberish. For a split second, I thought they were speaking Latin, but no, it's just a mix of random noises. Kinda like how the characters sound like in Banjo and Kazooie. Anyways, Lucius here explains that you need to learn the 8 gladiatorial skills. And then, well, frankly explains how most of the game is structured. You get a puzzle piece, play a minigame, take a test, and train in the school arena, and finally you go back to him for a permit to fight in the Colosseum. It was at this moment I realized this was not an action-adventure game. This is a minigame collection with a fancy overworld. Oh dear. Well, alright, let's get on to the first minigame. When starting a minigame, you actually have the option to bring in 3 other players. That's actually rather nice, so a whole group can play and experience the story together. Though, honestly, a bit expected for a minigame collection, or a party game, if you will. The first minigame has us throw a net at a dummy, pull it in, and then use a pitchfork to cut it into pieces. Honestly, this isn't a bad first minigame. Kind of fun, actually. Get a high enough score, and you're ready to move on. After that, we go to the classroom to take a test. Basically, Roman trivia. You're supposed to go around and read the books to learn facts, but nothing stops you from just taking the test, and even then, if you get the answers wrong, you're shown the correct one, so really, you don't even have to read the books. Then we have the school arena. For this minigame in particular, every time you go back here, they add one new section to the minigame. So for now, it just starts us with attacking a dummy in a particular section. Also, I like this guy who randomly comes up and gives you a thumbs up saying, "Yeah!"
Yeah.
Later sections have you aim for targets, press button combinations, and throw boars and rats into nets for some reason. After completing all 3 minigames, you go back to Lucius and he permits you to duel in the Colosseum. At this point I was thinking, okay, I was a little disappointed in the minigames, sure, but they were bad. But surely, dueling was going to be a whole lot of fun, right? I mean, how can you mess up dueling? Well... oh, that's how. You take turns with your opponent attacking and defending. In both cases, you either press button combinations that are shown, move the Wii Remote as directed, or draw. That's how you duel in this game. Score enough points and defeat your opponent and win the duel. After dueling, I officially lost hope in this game. It started off so well with Roman 3D, but now I'm coming to terms with what this actually is. A minigame collection, but with an interesting story mode, so let's get to the rest of the story then, shall we? As you win duels, you get gold armor pieces showing your progress. From here, you rinse and repeat 2 more times. I'm not kidding. Besides the minigames you play in the grounds, nothing else changes. From here on out, I'm only going to mention the minigames in these training sections if they're noteworthy. After finishing the 3rd set, Lucius gives you a bag of gold to buy a golden helmet as a reward from the blacksmith. After finishing the duel, however, a thief steals the gold and runs off. We go to the blacksmith anyways, and he agrees to allow you to still get your helmet if you assist him with some repairs. The next minigame that Simon says, really? I was hoping for a minigame where you actually get the things out of armor. I mean, he literally said that we were repairing armor, right? So, why are we doing this with swords? Finish up and you get your golden helmet. Rasmus then wants to make it up to the blacksmith for his generosity, and the blacksmith asks you to get back a sword that was stolen by the same thief. And he gives you a possible hideout for the thief of the Merchant's Guild. After that, you head off to get to the market, but you have to do a memory matching game to get to the next section of Rome, where the market is at. Once you get there, a beggar and a butcher explain that in order to get into the Merchant's Guild, you need to get a code. Each of the merchants have one part of the code, and there's a decoder slab to help you with the number combinations you get to figure out what to input. Do a fruit sorting minigame, a fishing minigame, and a minigame where you fill up jugs of wine, and you get all 3 parts of the code. You find and then confront the thief, who turns out to actually be your long-lost sister, Cornelia. No, I'm not making this up. She agrees to give the sword back. In return, she wants to talk to the senior record keeper to find out what happened to your parents. So you go out, talk to the guard of the administration building, and he tells you that Senator Publius was the record keeper at the time when Rome attacked Dacia, and that he's currently at a feast. You head to the feast building and talk to the bouncer. He admires you as a gladiator, and he says he will be willing to let you in if you use Lucius's invitation, since it's clear that he's not coming. After all, Lucius just stands there in the gladiator school grounds. So you head to Lucius' room, do a minigame where you lockpick his safe, and get the invite. After that, you return to the bouncer, and he says you also need to help him with other invitations. Which is honestly gets to a rather frustrating minigame. I didn't talk about this before, but so many of these minigames boil down to pointing and pressing the A button, or waggling your Wii remote. Honestly, a lot of minigame collections for the Wii fall into this category. So you complete the minigame, and guess what? The senator isn't even here. But his physician's here, so you go to the physician, do another minigame where you help him make medicine, and he gives you a prescription for the senator's medicine. This really has turned into a wild goose chase, but don't worry, we're almost done. You go to the temple for the priestess to make the medicine, but uh-oh! The priest doesn't have time to make it! Are you kidding me? This is a Roman senator we're talking about. Do you think for a second she would be able to say this to the senator's face? She would have been punished severely if she did. We make the medicine, and then we go to the bathhouse as we're allowed in, and then we finally get to the senator. Then we do a minigame where you feed him the medicine as he constantly falls asleep, and then we need to splash water on him to keep him awake. I think I'm going insane describing all this. Then, finally, after all of that, we get our answer. Rasmus's family is back at Dacia, living peacefully. We report back to our sister, and she tells us she has a plan to escape Rome through the sewer system. She then tells us to talk to the bathhouse owner for a way in. So we head to the bathhouse again, and guess what? We're not famous enough for him to help us. We need to go back and win more gladiator duels before you will. Yep, back to the standard gameplay loop. I will not put you through the pain I had to go through, but I will say this javelin throwing minigame was the absolute worst. There is zero way to gauge your power in your throws, and passing this one felt like pure luck. After winning a few more matches, we talk to the bathhouse owner again, and after proving we know our sister in the minigame, he gives us the key to unlock the sewers. We talk to our sister again, and for whatever reason, she wants us to go alone through the sewers to find a way out. Why? Shouldn't she just come with us so we could get this whole thing settled right now? Well, whatever, we'll do it. We do another decoder puzzle to get into the sewers, then it's followed by another minigame to unlock a door by pulling chains. And then we have to unlock another door when we need to pick keys that are of our color. We go down, talk to the architect of the sewers, and he tells us that we need to get a lever from his assistant to get out. But first we need to deal with some rats, so there's a minigame where you have to point at rats of our color and flick them. After that, we find the assistant skeleton and... Jeez, how long was he down here? Open up the lockbox, doing another minigame with shape matching, then we open the door to freedom. Oh wait, our sister got captured. See? I told you! She should have just come down with us! I don't care if it's because sewers are icky, you would have had to come down anyways. So, we're in prison now, but we get to keep our gold armor, so that's pretty cool. We then have to do a minigame where we cut bread and put it into a basket, but for some reason this one is weirdly difficult, since you lose points if you don't exactly put the bread over in the basket, and it can be super finicky. Then to actually leave the prison, we have to do a minigame where we deal with even more rats. Yay, more ratties. From here, we need to get the last puzzle piece from the sewer to complete our training. I just have to comment on the fact that despite us escaping and being thrown into prison, we're just kind of allowed to roam free. You would think they would keep a tighter watch on us, but no. In fact, talking to Lucius, he's not really even all that upset with you. Weird. After one last gameplay loop of training, quiz taking, practicing in arena, we do one more duel and get our final golden armor piece. I'll fully admit, I do like the gold armor system in this game, and dare I say, being fully decked out in golden armor makes us look pretty dang cool. Talk to Lucius one last time, and he gives us permission to go to the final duel against the champion. Win the final duel, and we get the ending cutscene. Emperor Commodus offers us freedom despite Lucius's objections, and we even talk him into giving freedom to our sister too. We return to Dacia and live a happy life with our family. Alright, time for my verdict. This is another hard one because I'll fully admit that this game has some good elements to it. Art direction, setting, even some parts of the story were interesting. It kept me playing despite the frustrating minigames and poor pacing that this had. The minigames were my main issue. I mean, why did they have to go with minigames? Oh wait, I actually know, because that's what was popular on the Wii. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Motion controls can ruin potentially good minigames. They did the hard part. They made a whole 3D recreation of Rome. If they added a couple more areas in the overworld, ditched the minigames for a proper combat system, then the game could have potentially been a hidden gem. I do have to reiterate, a clear amount of time and effort was spent on this game, and I really wish I could have liked it more, but the minigames were entirely to its detriment. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. My next review is going to be something different, so be sure to like and subscribe and check out my other videos if you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.
Get there faster and I'll show you reach your goal.